Hello and welcome to the Ford Brain podcast. I'm Somil.
And I'm Ali. Welcome. So today we will talk about a slightly controversial topic. A16Z had an article named Death of a Salesforce. And that triggered me, Somil, thinking about, is the disruptor becoming disrupted? Is not Salesforce, but is SaaS as a software way of delivering value to companies dying? But let's start with a bit more background first. What did SaaS do previously for the companies before we get into what's happening now?
Absolutely. So before SaaS, if you look at pre-SaaS era, so 2000 to before 2000, I would say 10, you had all these monolithic systems who were basically system of record. So these systems, they acted as registers for the company. So back in the day, for example, you had forms. So they had UIs that looked similar to the forms. And then you had memos sent between departments. So you had these messages flowing in these ERPs. And then you have registers, which were basically the databases. So what ERP did was it just took the old register memo concept and digitalized it. And SaaS just took it one step further by saying, why do you want to do all of this on-prem? Why don't we have this on a cloud for better accessibility? But actually now you can also standardize your processes. Now you can actually have your entire organization globally follow the same set of processes. They can access the same tool. And that actually created this transformation where the whole entire Salesforce, previously every sales team used to have their own method of tracking opportunities and deals. And Salesforce said, hey, now you have this cloud-based solution. You can access anywhere from the globe. So all the salespeople in your organization can just follow the same process. And that then became the whole backbone of the customer relationship management. And everything from chasing down leads to sending proposals to getting orders was then taken over by the CRM process. But if you look at closely, the SaaS didn't fundamentally change how organizations operate. They just digitalized it. It was just an old software on steroids. And I think that is the part of the problem. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think going back to what you just said, didn't change anything, and it's just the old software on steroids. Maybe a bit of a history is on order before we get to the other things. So I think it was early in the 90s when Siebel Systems started as customer relationship software. They were at some point valued at $30 billion. On-premise software, mostly working closely with Oracle and so on. And then where Salesforce came in years after, and Salesforce didn't have all the features. It just had the convenience of SaaS and accessibility of SaaS. Siebel Systems went to, I think it was 20% of their original valuations, and then got bought by Oracle on 2006. So that circle of like going from the ERP, carving out a piece of it, becoming a CRM, going to SaaS. Now I think with the AI-driven transformations, if the current SaaS software don't do that, the CRM, Salesforce, and so on, don't really rethink how they want to do things, instead of, okay, are we going to just sprinkle dust on top of what we have right now? There will be in future going to the same way. They're going to go extinct. And that's one of the problems. They have really evolved a bit in the CRM systems. There's so many cool startups out there, but with this new AI as a catalyst, I think people need to rethink how things work and how do you really develop your relationship with your customers, moving away from the complex monolithic way of dealing with your data, but also one-dimensional thinking about this is the process and you measure the activities of the process. So with that, I think, Somil, what kind of like differences do you see between current CRMs and more agentic transformed CRMs?
Yeah, I think the if you look at the promise of the CRM, it was supposed to make companies more customer centric, and that's why we have all the data going into CRMs. But I don't think there's enough insight coming out that are significant to bring transformation that can actually rally the whole organization and make it more customer centric. And I don't really think, talking to people here, that they have become significantly more customer centric. In fact, I think the CRMs have become its own bubble. So a lot of companies they just run Salesforce, or they run CRM just for this just for its own sake. And that, I think, is the part of the challenge, because CRMs have become so self-contained, self-fulfilling systems that are too bureaucratic, inflexible, but the organizations, they need systems that can help them act upon the insights. So if you have a customer and you realize, okay, there is an opportunity, you need a system that not just tells you that there is an opportunity, it also helps you capture it. And that diffusion of customer intelligence into every part of the organization, whether it's surveys, whether it's supply chain, whether it's your R&D or product development or merchandising, I think that is one area where I feel CRMs have failed miserably. And I think that is that's the opening that now the new agentic CRM solutions or agentic sales ops solutions now have that opportunity to go into and fix and basically do the course correction.
Yeah, I've never seen a salesperson who loves to sit down and enter records in Salesforce. If you know one, I would love to meet them, but I've never seen anyone. I've had multiple salespeople in my team. I've acted as a salesperson previously, and I think whoever you talk to, they're like, okay, well, I spent so much time dealing with the bureaucracies of these CRM systems that I could use actually talking to the customers. That is insane. And I think that's what excites me about having an agent AI first customer relationship management solution, not the CRM SaaS software anymore. Because you can have multiple dimensions, right, of information that you can gather. You could look at pictures, you could look at everything, not just what fits in the process, and automate everything that doesn't need to be done manually. So the salespeople can focus on selling. That's what they're hired to do, and that's what they like to do. So that's an interesting aspect. And is there a reason that the company should also already do it now? Can we reemphasize why people should start thinking about how to changing from this monolithic SaaS software toward more agentic world?
Absolutely. And I think for one, the name CRM or ERP should give you a hint that it's enterprise resource planning or customer relationship management. It's basically for managers and planners to do the planning. It's not built for people who actually do the job. Because if you're doing the sales, then you need different insights. You'll be basically, if I'm a sales, when I was a salesperson, I didn't care about the management or the numbers or the deal structuring. Of course I wanted that as an outlook, but what I wanted from the system was, okay, who should be my next target among all the companies that I figured out, who in that company should be my prospect. What could be the value proposition? I think those kind of insights, intelligence is what would have helped me become more focused and more effective compared to all the deal pipeline and all all the budgetary estimation and the pricing and all the other things that I was supposed to do. So I think this is where now if you look at one of the opportunity we have is that AI can actually help us do what we really want to do. So if you look at the sales teams of the future, I don't think they would care more about the activity or the processes. For them, it's like, okay, I want to make the deal, and this is what my customer wants. How do I deliver that to them? How do I deliver them a good price? How do I deliver them a good deal? How do I make sure that I make enough money? And how do I create value? I think that's how the mindset is. So they're basically going from very activity driven approach to more outcome driven approach and operations. And I think that is one thing where I feel there's a big need for organizations to start moving from traditional CRMs to agentic ones. And also, if you look at agentic, the whole agentic paradigm, the customer insights themselves can or should be analyzed from different dimensions, and you to understand those from how does that impact you. For example, how does this opportunity impact your supply chain planning? How does that opportunity impact your risk management? How does this impact your supplier forecast? Things like this. I think that view is currently missing because CRMs in all their glory are still very limited. They can't take the 360-degree view that organizations really need to make a decision. So they're still very good, fancy information carrying software, but they don't make me become more effective. They don't make me take decisions. And then I'll ask the question, like, then why should I still pursue it? Back then, yes, there was no other option, but now I do have an option.
Yeah, I think companies still need some sort of system of record, but really having a very expensive, complicated SaaS software as a system of record, maybe not the best idea. That's what most likely scares a lot of people from moving away from them. Like, how do we manage that? But there is much more modern ways of doing that, and with AI, with unstructured data storage and all of that, you will have a lot more possibilities to have much more richer contextual system of record. You can give context to people who make decisions. You give context to humans. We humans make decisions based on the context we gather and understand. We're not just pattern recognizers, right? So we need to, with these agentic models, you can actually have those contexts for people. And the context, as you said, could come from outside just the customer relationship management, right? It can come from your supplier management. Right? You can never actually deliver. We had this joke back in the day. It was like, sell first and we figure out how to deliver next, right? And so that, well, you could actually know in an agentic operation, can you even deliver this?
Exactly.
Or what are the options for delivery before you sell? You could still opt for selling and figuring it out later, but then you know what are your options already now, instead of putting your delivery teams in panic mode of like, how the hell do we do this? The other aspect is that it actually shortens the customer relationship cycle from, okay, someone lands the logo, someone else comes in, manages to grow the account and so on. So it becomes much more of a continuous experience, and you measure people, you measure your systems, you measure your outcomes towards how you're making life easier for yourself and your customer. So that's what I like about this whole thing. Now, maybe we haven't done that often, but implicit plug time. So we do quite a lot of things around building agentic solutions for sales and sales operations at FortBrain. What is our view on this? How do we actually solve these problems in our heads?
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you about the panic mode, because I myself guilty of that. And I've seen instances where salespeople, they get really good deal and they have very good discussion with the customer and they're both ready, and then you go back in the organization and they literally have to piece the solution together. I've seen salespeople do the solutioning job, I think that's something that should not be done. I think, and when you ask the question about how we look at it at Fort Brain, it's very simple. The salespeople should do sales, full stop. Everything else should be delivered to them. So even if it comes to transaction and opportunity management, I think that still are the back end of the sales. So that's not the thing that salespeople should focus on. I think we can build very powerful agents that can take over the actions, provide recommendations, that can basically coordinate, do the analysis. So everything as you expect a Salesforce or a CRM to do, all of that can be done within the Fortbrain platform, and you do it very, very easily. You don't have to go, and you don't need to have like 15 experts and who work for like 6 months. We probably could do it in a day or two, or maybe just in a few hours if you're really familiar with this. So I think that kind of speed is what I'm looking at. I think from a sales perspective, if you ask me, if I had my organization looking for a CRM system and I was a salesperson, I would say, listen, let me build these deals for the customer. Give me all the support I need to build that, and also tell me about the guardrails. Of course, I don't want to promise them the sun and the moon. So of course, I want to be grounded in reality. So that is, I think, a job of the CRM. How can we transform it from a rigid system of record that basically tells me what to do and what I cannot do into a dynamic outcome driven workflows and outcome driven operations that can really freeze me to extend my creativity, extend my personality, extend my research, and actually use. I'm really surprised how little sales intelligence is actually consumed in the CRM systems. I'm really surprised. I mean, salespeople, if you talk to them, the really good one, they know a lot about the customer, about the market, about the competition, and they really have great insights if you go and talk to them, But I've never seen a company who's actually actively using that knowledge to build better products or to build better customer service. I think that is where I think we like to be. That vision or that kind of template is what we can build in Fortbrain.
Yeah, and if you're a salesperson, let me give you an imaginary scenario, which is quite possible now. We're looking at it to do just that. So imagine you can have a very good prospecting tool that makes the first contact much more professionally, much more informed and hyper personalized than whatever intern you get to do that for you. And they do the lazy works. I've seen emails coming to me with the wrong name, obviously copy pasted a lot of times, right? Or that they don't even look if you're working for the same company or not. I've just got this. Just remembered, I got a sales call for someone who wanted to sell something to the company they sold 2 years ago. So that doesn't make any sense, right? So that you can get for free. You can get. Then you basically take the call to convince the customer. An agent could listen to that call, of course, with consent of the customer. And minutes after that, you could get like a proposal that you can send. Automated, generated, checked all of the boxes, checked all of the possibilities, and so on. You review it, and if it makes sense to you, you can send it to the customer. Imagine how much admin work, how much repetitive work you have to you can get rid of, and then you don't have to update your opportunity in the pipeline. That's already done based on the conversation you just had with your customer. The agent knows, and it does it. So that is the life I want for salespeople. So they can just basically have fun customer discussions, close deals, make things happen. So that's what we are aiming for to make happen as well.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of times it's
maybe we just wrap up and summarize.
Just one point I was mentioning based on your last point. I think a lot of managers and leaders they worry about like the health of the sales pipeline. There's a lot of discussion. Okay, is it a 40% or 70% or 80%? And it's always a very subjective call. Yeah, but I've sent the proposal, so 80%. Yes, I think all of that could just you don't have to worry about that, because I think based on the conversation, you can have maybe 1 million parameters for the agents, and they can determine the exact probability and what the health of your funnel is, and basically what are the next best actions that you need to take to improve it. I think it can bring a lot more transparency and also a lot more confidence. And I think we've all been in the sales review calls, which practically end up being a blame game or this or that. You can actually spend that time in planning prospects and actually strategizing what to. So I think that aspect, I think, is completely missed out right now in the CRM. I think we can really enable that in an agentic platform like Footprint.
Yeah, so I would call those sales review calls sales interrogation calls most of the time.
Yeah.
Trying to get to the source of truth. But good wrap up. I think in my mind, most of the way of thinking about one monolithic process-driven SaaS software is going to go away, replaced with vertical, more agentic, outcome-driven solutions coming to the market. We are, of course, trying to be one of those, and that is something that people should pay attention to. I don't think Salesforce per se will die, but the concept that they're driving now most likely will. So that's my final word. Any final words from you, Somil?
I think, and what we just spoke about, how the organizations need to start, how can they really become customer oriented and really start acting on the insights, not just getting them and not just storing them in CRM, but how can you just diffuse all of that intelligence from your market, from your sales teams, to basically take better decision, improve your services, the stuff that you really want to do, the juicy stuff. I think that we can make it possible, because I think the agentic systems, they are not bound to any system. They don't work within the CRM. They work for your entire company, and they can make an impact anywhere, wherever there is an opportunity. I think that enables a lot of change potential, a lot of innovation potential. If I could just change tailor my supply chain based on my customer or my product strategy or R&D strategy, whatever, right? I think there's a huge gains to be made for those who can be there. I think one point, maybe not a wrap up, something we couldn't cover is the speed of change. I think that's a very, very important point, because if you have agentic systems, they can really help you react very, very fast. And I think in the future, it's going to be the speed game. It's going to be whoever, like a new CEO is appointed, who is the first one to come up with a good proposal, or when something happens in a company, right? Who is the first one to react and respond in an intelligent way? I think a lot of that competition is going to be time-based. So you really need to have systems that are proactive and that are adaptive, and not something that's rigid and tells you what happened like 2 days ago or maybe 5 days ago.
That's a good point. Because it's the whole point is that agentic operations are significantly faster and can create significant more value. So you could have the output of 100 people organization in sales, as an example, with a team of 5 people, if you do it right with an agents. So that is the world people should aspire to. All right, then I think that's it for today.
Yep.
Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned for some more interesting agent discussions next time.
See you. Bye.